Patrollers, how is it going? Welcome to my Doom Patrol Season 3 update kind of video, if you will, because hey, Doom Patrol has been renewed for another season, of course, as I just said, Season 3, and it's absolutely fantastic news. A few of you are wondering why I haven't got this video out sooner. I didn't really want to make a video just saying, oh, Doom Patrol Season 3, it's been renewed. And that's it. You know, I wanted to offer a little bit more because out of DC fandom, unlike a lot of coverage I did last week, updating you all on all of the new information we got out of Stargirl, The Flash, Titan Season 3, and all of that good stuff, which, you know, definitely check it out if you haven't seen already because there is a lot of new stuff we go over. There wasn't really any new tidbits for Doom Patrol outside of the renewal, so it's absolutely fantastic we've got this. So in this video, I will be going over my thoughts about Season 3, where it could go, and what I would like them to do, perhaps, in terms of the big bad threat of Season 3, and yeah, I've definitely got a few ideas about where they can go after the threat of Candlemaker has hopefully been vanquished, and hopefully Dorothy being safe and sound. So just in case you didn't know already, you know, DC Universe, all of their shows will be on HBO Max now. Now this includes new seasons for Titan Season 3 and Harley Quinn, which has also been renewed for another season. Thank goodness. Harley Quinn, the animated series, is just amazing. Check it out if you haven't already. Seriously, you're missing out if you haven't. And while we're on the subject of DC Universe, it has been rebranded to DC Universe Infinite, which is a home for all things DC Comics, with access to over 24,000 comic books from its launch, and they will launch recently released comics 6 months after their physical versions hit the shelves. So I believe it will apparently expand globally in 2021, but that is it for DC Universe. It has kind of scrapped its original scheme and is rebranded to a comics-only service. But the interesting thing about this, in my opinion, is, you know, there are other comic book services, you know, digital comic book services out there, which give you recently launched titles, not 6 months after, but more or less very soon after they're launched physically. However, I believe they are more expensive in terms of membership as to what DC Universe will be offering. But back to Doom Patrol. I just wanted to give a little bit of a DC Universe update there. You know, all of the stuff's going to HBO Max now. Is kind of always the destiny, and I'm really glad this is happening. I hope for more than 10 episodes on HBO Max for Doom Patrol Season 3, but you never know. Like, it's not the end of the world that we don't have 15 like Season 1. And talking of that as well, a lot of people felt as though that the Doom Patrol finale didn't really feel like one. And that's, well, because it wasn't meant to be. The finale we got was actually the penultimate episode of the season, because as many of you already kind of know, that Season 2 was meant to have 10 episodes. But due to the virus, it only had a couple of days left filming Episode 10, the whole finale that is, before it had to shut up shop, so to speak. And that essentially, in a nutshell, forced the Doom Patrol show to have Episode 9 as their actual finale, which, you know, wasn't really bad, especially with the way they left it off, you know, with Niles basically on the floor there, Dorothy going into the Candlemaker's realm, of which I will believe, and I will get into in a few minutes. And, you know, it was left ambiguous, but you would have to assume Episode 10 is where the big face-off would have actually happened. So what can we actually expect to see from Season 3, and what would I like to see as a big bad threat? So obviously the whole continuation of Dorothy's story. I mean, the original finale, you would have to imagine, Episode 10, that we didn't get to see, but they mostly did film, should, I believe, be self-cannibalized into Season 2, Episode 1. The reason why I'm saying that is because that makes the most logical sense, but also Titans did this in a similar way in Season 1. We were meant to be getting Episode 12 and 13. That never happened. We got an 11-episode Season 1, and that ended with the Trigon's reality manipulation, with the evil Batman kind of going around killing Joker in his rogues gallery, if you remember. So that's why it's Titan Season 2, Episode 1 felt like the finale and the cap-off of Season 1, and we may have a similar effect in Doom Patrol Season 2. It may feel like, oh, this just feels like the ending of Season 1. Well, that's because it will be. I don't look at it like as a bad thing, because, you know, just given the reality of the situation of the world, I think anyone would be just way too harsh criticizing that. It's just a thing that needs to happen. We need to conclude the Candlemaker's story. As you all know, in the finale, or should I say really, the penultimate episode, Dorothy went to face off against the Candlemaker, and you can only assume in that next episode where, you know, Niles was laying on the floor screaming after his daughter, that Episode 10 would have seen the big boss battle from the Candlemaker. And a part of me always thought that this season we might see Niles Caulder die. Now, without going into mega spoilers into the comics, let's just say it gets messy with the Candlemaker's release upon the third wish. However, the show's adaptation of this story has gone quite fairly differently. But Niles, as we know without his immortality necklace, was dying anyway, so this could still indeed be a thing that happens in the finale. I'm very intrigued to see if they actually do bring something like that to fruition. Either way, the Candlemaker threat will be resolved in one way or another, as it does appear that Dorothy has been taken to be completely alone with the Candlemaker in his realm, of which I really hope that we get to see a set piece like this that you're seeing on screen right now from the comics, which could be very similar, to be honest, to actually what they had planned for that final episode, where we could actually see the Candlemaker sat on his candle throne made of wax. I think that would be so freaking awesome. And, you know, as I said, with Dorothy being grabbed and yanked by the Candlemaker like that, they definitely went somewhere. But then again, adaptation, just to reiterate, we might not see the exact same thing from the comic book panel. I think we also have to factor in how the show's adaptation has made the Candlemaker this almost rite of passage video game boss battle for a coming-of-age moment for a member of Dorothy's tribe. I mean, I don't know the specifics of that. I don't think anyone really does, but I think it's meant to be very vague and ambiguous, and it's a cool, innovative stamp, in my opinion, on the traditionalist canon of the Candlemaker from the comics. But this is why I keep going on about that kind of trial and tribulation aspect of this final fight, or video game boss battle, if you will. Perhaps Dorothy needs to do partially alone, as we also have the Doom Patrol, aside from Niles, completely plastered in wax, with even someone like Cliff being completely decommissioned into many pieces. So honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know exactly where things are going to go with the fallout of that. I think we can all guess that that kind of big boss battle, maybe Niles could sacrifice himself, maybe they could kind of mirror some aspects from the Candlemaker's kind of destruction in the comics. The whole wish thing is still pretty mysterious in terms of what they implemented into the show, because just to reiterate again, the Candlemaker does release upon the world upon the third wish in the comics. Now in the show, the wishes are getting made, and it felt as though for some time with every wish, the Candlemaker kind of grew more stronger and more intelligent, but then the show kind of gave the explanation of as Dorothy matures, so does the Candlemaker. So we don't really truly know what the wishes are in the show, and it seems as though from episode 9, the penultimate episode that was made the finale, the Candlemaker was more or less at full strength and threatened the whole of planet Earth. So that wasn't anything to do with the wishes. So I do feel like there is a little bit of confusing aspects to the way the story unfolded. But once again, a whole bunch of stuff could have been cleared up in that finale episode of episode 10 that we still haven't seen, but we'll hopefully, well, obviously see in episode 1 of season 3. No matter what happens, whether Niles does die, as I said, I feel like that could happen, especially if he's dying anyway with his old age just really kicking in. He may as well do something sacrificial. I don't know. I just hope that Dorothy does make it out alive and that she still will be in the show. Abigail Shapiro's character of Dorothy really brings a lot to the show. She instantly became one of my favorites. I know a lot of you feel the same way. One way this could work, for example, is if Niles does die, then maybe the Doom Patrol feel compelled to look after Niles' daughter, especially as she mirrors very similar character attributes to the other characters. They all feel like outcasts of society, freaks, if you will, because of their abilities or just, you know, as a result of their tragic accidents, and that, you know, Dorothy very much so fits in there, and all she wants is a family. And I believe in episode 1, the opening kind of monologue from Dorothy is that maybe we will be a family one day, or was that at the end of the episode? Either way, maybe it could go like that. But what about the future story? Let's just now talk about season 3, well after the Candlemaker. Well, just to put this right off the bat, it could go numerous ways, I suppose. But I have actually been over this before in a similar themed video, in where I explored what I would have liked to have seen in season 2 in terms of a big bad, or in this case, big bads, of which has actually even been teased in the show before, and that is, for all of you who already know this, some of you may not, the Brotherhood of Evil. So just very briefly, for those of you who do not know who the Brotherhood of Evil are and you're just kind of fans of the live action adaptation of the Doom Patrol, but believe it or not, you have seen or heard slightly of them before in the live action. They're a criminal organization made up of quite a few members led by the Brain, or otherwise known as Ultimax. And when I say you may remember something, well, you may remember references we got to the Brain in episode 6 of season 1 titled Doom Patrol, where Rita was talking to her old flame, if you will, Mento, in the original Doom Patrol's trophy room, and within that trophy room was a case that held Ultimax's brain, who is the leader of the Brotherhood of Evil, but it was also broken, meaning that someone had broken him out, of who I'm thinking is most likely Monsieur Marla. And I know that this episode was centered around a bit of deception due to Mento's powers making the whole place seem like the original Doom Patrol was still in their prime, and this has led some fans to speculate that the trophy room perhaps wasn't a real reflection of the Doom Patrol's original achievements. But even then, at the end of the episode, the trophy room, after the facade was over and we got to see how this old Mento was and his reality manipulation was over and done with, we saw the Brain's case there, still in the room, even having some kind of dust over it, meaning that it was indeed real and that the original Doom Patrol had indeed faced off against the Brotherhood of Evil. And it's likely, as Mento said himself in that episode to Rita, that Ultimax had escaped sometime in the past and is likely out there plotting the next big scheme for the Brotherhood of Evil to strike back. The other members of the Brotherhood of Evil, as you may have heard me mention a second ago, Monsieur Marla, who has quite a fondness for weaponry but has also been referenced in the show before by Mr. Nobody, where we got his nobody origin due to being kicked out of the Brotherhood of Evil for them not liking his ideas, such as the killer robot that we actually saw Mr. Nobody bring to fruition at the end of season 1, and where he was putting Niles through the Doom Patrol's death again and again and again through that very robot that got rejected from the Brotherhood of Evil. And think of Monsieur Marla as this kind of big CGI kind of gorilla, if you will, that they could do in a very similar way to what the CW did or does do with Gorilla Grodd. That's why I can really imagine characters like him coming to fruition, and he always usually has the Brain just kind of tagging along with him. He's like the Brain's right-hand kind of henchman, if you will. And I also wouldn't be surprised if it was Monsieur Marla who broke the Brain out of the Doom Patrol's little trophy room case and then put him within a whole new one, and ever since they've been perhaps plotting away. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't be. However, outside of this, I don't believe we've heard any other references to them, not even in season 2. Now, I could be wrong about that, and please let me know down in the comments below if any of you guys have spotted any Easter eggs to them during the episodes of season 2. But other members consist of Gemini, General Immortus, Plasmus, Warp, Trinity, Phobia, Goldilocks, Madame Rouge, Garguax, and quite a few others. But as I iterated in my other video breaking them down quite a while ago, if they were ever to bring the Brotherhood of Evil to the show, I mean, I doubt we would see every single member, just a cherry-picked for the show lineup, such as the Brain, aka Ultimax, Monsieur Marla, Madame Rouge, and perhaps one other. Maybe another one as well. But other than that, I don't think we're going to see like freaking 7, 8 of them. And as I've already kind of mentioned a couple of times, the Brotherhood of Evil would have been biding their time for quite a few decades by the present day storyline in the show, so there's definitely a grand opportunity and roster of villainous big bads for the show to explore here. And I also think that the weight that these villains carry in the source material could make for a very, very entertaining season in the future. But I also get why the writers haven't necessarily got to them yet, and how I was potentially way too premature myself with my idea of incorporating them into season 2 with my video from, I think it was like mid-2019. So the reason why I say that is perhaps Jeremy Carver in the writer's room kind of wanted to wait for the characters on this first live-action iteration of Doom Patrol to be a bit more of an evolved hero-esque team before facing their first proper evil organization threat, or at the very least, with the exploration of family in season 2 and kind of growing up themes, they had plenty of other baggage to get through, and there always will be, rather than that of to face a criminal organization, for example, whereas the Candlemaker was just this byproduct of Dorothy that was, to be honest, almost this unforeseen threat to most of the members until the very ending of the season. And by the way, I'm not saying we're not quite there yet with certain characters in terms of being able to face off against Ultimax and the others. And I also think in some ways the Doom Patrol probably never will truly ever be ready. And that's quite the quality and charm of the show with these characters that make them also relatable and funny. However, though, I'm also not saying that there haven't been massive progressions in the first couple of seasons for certain characters. I mean, there have been some members more than others, especially during season 2, that have shown a lot of prowess in that way, such as Rita, for sure, Cyborg, Larry, to the point of where I think that the Doom Patrol could very well wing their way, as they usually do, to beating the Brotherhood of Evil, even as early as season 3. So I think you can kind of get the idea by the end of this video that, in my opinion, I would love to see Ultimax come back in season 3 after the threat of the Candlemaker and the original finale has been all wrapped up, and all of a sudden something happens where Niles instantly recognizes the work of a certain villain, and so it's up to the Doom Patrol to try and stop them, albeit in a very lucky, probably, kind of way. But then again, you may have Rita and other characters like that really trying to get into their own superhero-esque kind of ways. Larry, much more harmonized with his negative spirit, and a lot more efficient at using it, and maybe that will come in very handy. But I would love to know what you guys think down in the comments below. But other than that, guys, I'd really appreciate a like if you did enjoy this video. If you have any ideas for future content and future Doom Patrol videos that you would like to see on the channel, especially as we're kind of in a dry spell of news after DC Fandom and the shows aren't coming back anytime soon, other than The Mandalorian, I am very open for suggestions, but you know, I'll still be pumping out content very consistently on the channel, so make sure you're subscribed for any future Doom Patrol updates on Season 3, you name it. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you Doom Patrollers in the next video. Goodbye.